Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about specifically what it means to have your Mercury in Capricorn or Mercury in the 10th house. My name is Brandon, and I do astrology videos here on YouTube, and this is part of a much larger series that I'm working on where I go over every single planet and every single sign and house. There's a playlist down below, you're welcome to check it out, where I've gone over every single planet prior to Capricorn in the 10th house. So I have all the videos for every sign prior to this and every house prior to this. So if you have any planets between Aries and Sagittarius, or any planets between the 1st and the 9th house, there is going to be many videos down there for you to check out. And at this point, we are now in the Capricorn week, and I am very excited because we have a couple more seasons to go, and I am really looking forward to this series. This has been such a fun series, and the Capricorn week in and of itself has also been really fun to kind of see how things have been really coming through. So a lot of what I do here is I talk about specifically Mercury in Capricorn and then Mercury in the 10th house, and I do have timestamps down below, and then I also will talk about what Mercury does generally in astrology, and what Mercury kind of represents in that regard. So it's going to be kind of a bunch of different segments here, but they're all meant to kind of really help you if you are entirely new to astrology and you don't know anything, and you walk into this and you're like, what's going on? What is this? I talk about Mercury first, and then I talk about Mercury in Capricorn, then I talk about Mercury in the 10th house. Now, it is important to know if you do have Mercury in Capricorn or Mercury in the 10th house to get a calculation to see if that's true. And to do that, there's going to be a link down below. You're feel free to check out down there. That's very important to know if you even have Mercury in Capricorn or Mercury in the 10th house before you even watch this video. But it is also helpful if you do know someone that has Mercury in the 10th house or Mercury in Capricorn. Now, that's most of it here. All the little just introductory things. I do have a bunch of links down below if you want to check out all the other videos, obviously, but then also anything with me is down below too. Mercury, there's a lot of different things that we're going to be talking about in this specific video relative to Mercury, so I will save that for specifically what Mercury means in astrology, and then after that, I'm going to talk about Mercury specifically in Capricorn, and then Mercury in the 10th house. So I'll see you in the next part where we talk about specifically what Mercury means within astrology. So Mercury within astrology. So Mercury is a very kind of tricky planet. It's also a planet that is very adaptable. It rules the ability to actually adapt to things. It is the merchant. It is the salesman. It rules our kind of ability to mentally, logically kind of do these kind of gymnastics, if you will, right? Mercury is very nimble, adaptable. It's able to be put wherever it's at and kind of work well, because Mercury will kind of adapt to whatever that planetary energy is. So based off of what planet rules whatever sign Mercury is in, Mercury will just kind of become that. And then whatever planets are potentially near Mercury, Mercury will kind of be infused with that. Mercury just is it's very chameleon-esque in a lot of ways. And so Mercury really has a very creative way that it does kind of work. It rules our mind. It rules our ability to understand, our ability to speak, our speaking style, are also our perspective, and more in our own memory. Our memory is also ruled by the moon in some way, but Mercury is how we communicate our memory. It's how we communicate our opinions. It's our words, our writing style, our speaking style, our perspective. And Mercury is really this planet that really just communicates for the rest of them. If we didn't have Mercury, if we didn't have the ability to communicate, we wouldn't be able to do quite a lot of different things. And if any of these planetary bodies, they all kind of represent a different archetype in how we go about moving. And Mercury is one of the more important ones relative to our ability to communicate, which is so instrumental in so many different ways. And I think it's really interesting when it comes to Mercury in Capricorn, because I'll get to that in a moment, but I've never really spoken and explained the necessity of language in any other Mercury introductory portion before, and it feels very on the nose for Mercury and Capricorn to lead with the necessity of language and the importance of language and the importance of communicating your own opinion, as you'll see once I get to Mercury and Capricorn. But point is that Mercury is really important about our logical kind of digestive kind of process, our thought process. Mercury naturally rules Gemini and Virgo. There is some discourse on whether or not Mercury is considered to be exalted in the sign of Aquarius, and therefore fallen in the sign of Leo, but that's a whole nother conversation that we're not going to have today. And it is considered to be at home in Gemini and Virgo / exalted in Virgo, and then subsequently, the opposite signs that it rules, it doesn't do as well. So Mercury in Sagittarius and Mercury in Pisces are not considered to be as comfortable for Mercury to be in, because Mercury is in Jupiter's domain in that example, or potentially Neptune's domain, depending on how you look at Pisces. And Mercury will function very differently in those signs that are kind of like, discordant, or the antithesis of what Mercury really represents, which is logic and reason and grounded thought, and ability to communicate, to speak. And so when we think about Mercury's rulership, this Mercury in Capricorn doesn't have any inherent dignity. It's not really anywhere within that spectrum, but there is going to be some support that it does have, because it is another earth element, so it is connected to that Virgo kind of Mercury as well. So there's some conversations there that I think are really important to think about in and of themselves. Mercury and Capricorn has their own kind of struggles, which I'll get to in a moment. But overall, Mercury is about your communication style, your intellectual kind of capabilities, your ability to understand the world. It also rules how you sell, how you sell yourself, how you speak of yourself, your internal and external dialogue, and anything with siblings, anything with any sort of cars as well. So there's a lot of conversation there around cars and communication and things. So yeah, so that's pretty much from all of Mercury. And of course, it's really important to see what your Mercury else is doing in the chart. So if Mercury is with Saturn, if Mercury is square to Mars, connected to Jupiter, connected to Venus, connected to Mars, whatever, all these different things, connected to the Sun, it's going to have a lot of different kind of avenues that it's going to kind of merge into. Also, really important to know, if you have a Mercury retrograde, really, really different representation of that. Also, how close Mercury is to the Sun and where it's kind of at in its retrograde kind of cycle definitely has a lot of importance there too. And then finally, and I think this is one of the more important points, is if you are a Mercury ruled chart, meaning if you are a Gemini rising or prominent Gemini placements, or Virgo rising or prominent Virgo placements, you will have a more importance to rely upon your Mercury, and therefore this Mercury placement in Capricorn or the 10th house will have a lot of power for you. So a lot more kind of plot is kind of focused upon that. So that's just another point I need to bring up there. Now, without further ado, let's talk about specifically what Mercury means in Capricorn. Okay, so when it comes to Mercury in Capricorn, this is an interesting Mercury placement because it has support from Virgo, but not as much from Gemini. Meaning that in the zodiac, the way that Gemini and Virgo are laid out, Virgo and they rule these certain areas of the chart, and they can kind of inherently see other things, meaning see in other signs. Gemini and Virgo naturally can see one another. They kind of can work with one another. Gemini and Capricorn cannot, and then Virgo and Capricorn can. So, meaning that Capricorn Mercury is in a really interesting spot where it's able to really do quite a lot of the Virgo kind of planning and things, except when it comes to Capricorn, it struggles. Mercury in Capricorn is all about the idea of long form responsible writing and really important and patient and intentional words. And it's very interesting because if you watch my Mercury Sagittarius video, you know I have Mercury Sagittarius. If you watch Jupiter Virgo, you know I have Jupiter Virgo. I'm a very Mercury Jupiter individual, okay? Meaning that I speak a lot for work. That's what I do for work. I do speaking across the board. I do teaching. That's what I do. And what's really interesting is prior to, and even kind of while I'm doing this conversation, while I'm doing this video here, I am not actively, but I am somewhat losing my voice, which inherently creates this kind of Mercury, Saturn, Mercury, Capricorn kind of archetype of needing to be very intentional, needing to slow down, needing to be very focused on what you're saying. And I find it really important to bring that up because it's relevant, because it's literally what I'm experiencing right now as a direct reflection of the Mercury Capricorn kind of archetype, where you need to be very intentional, very planned with what you're going to say, very serious. And Mercury Capricorn takes things that way. They take things very seriously, very matter of fact, or they take it as a very foundational building blocks. They want the building blocks. They want you to build it very stably, very strong. I don't think stably is even a word, but very stable, very strong, very grounded. And they want it to make sense. They need to bring their mind into form and ground it down. And I think what's really unique about this is that Mercury really over time is learning to be really responsible with its words. So you can have a career in writing, you can have a career in teaching, you can have a career in with cars as well. There could be something regarding cars or transportation or travel that you utilize for work, because Capricorn has a lot to do with our career. It has a lot to do with our place in the world, our responsibilities, and Mercury is our mind. So our mind is always, as a Mercury Capricorn, your mind will always be brought to, am I doing the right thing? Am I being responsible? Am I being diligent? Am I honoring my time? Am I saying less is more, right? That's what a Mercury Capricorn individual kind of learns, is that less is more. It's very powerful. And being able to be very slow and methodical and intentional. There is a lot of anxiety with Mercury and Capricorn, where they almost will feel like there is this, this weight within their mind that they need to really understand how to work with and understand what to say, how to say it. And that kind of deep analysis and that kind of worry and anxiety can make them feel like they're just safer to say nothing. So they can be mute to some degree. They can be just very just vocally just out, like they don't say as much, right? And like I said, it's very interesting considering the timing of when I am literally looking up ways to limit and be more intentional with my words in response to the realization that I have been slowly losing my voice, because this is what I do for work all day, every day. And so it is something that I think Mercury and Capricorn can relate to, is that steady, slow, respectful, responsible kind of voice and mind. So you are the people with Mercury, Saturn, Mercury, Capricorn that I admire in a lot of ways. Your ability to slow down, be very grounded in your thoughts, and take the time to really sit and be serious and slow down. And there's value in slowing down your words and slowing down the way at which you speak. And that's something that for me, it's very antithetical to my makeup within my chart, specifically with my Mercury placement is very chaotic and crazy and all over the place. And because of that, Mercury Capricorn individuals, I think when I've read for them, when I've connected with them, I understand the value that they are able to bring to conversations, that they're able to bring to a reading, to whatever their mind is going, right? And the thing with Mercury Capricorn, it's a lot about building those sturdy building blocks of conversation. They can also have a very strong tradition in how they communicate, or very strong rigid boundaries on what they say. Mercury and Capricorn will also, there's something about saying no that's really strong with this, like learning to say no, and or on the inverse of that, learning to open up to more and learning to say yes to more things. And that will likely happen after the Saturn return around the age of 28. Since it is a Capricorn placement, I have a video down below where I speak about the Saturn cycles that are really important. Capricorn placements, your Saturn return is very important. So looking to your Saturn placement is going to really help you in a lot of different ways. And understanding that your Mercury functions in a very slow build, but very strong way. Capricorn placements are very strong. And when Mercury is there, the mind is very strong, very stable, very serious. And it takes time to build that stability. And when they speak with authority, they speak with a groundedness, they speak with a sense of, I've spent 20 years doing this stuff, there's almost a sense of confidence after they speak about something, after they've done all the internal, battle that they've had to do to regain that confidence or gain that exposure or experience to speak on those things. Because Mercury really, truly wants to speak with a sense of authority in Capricorn. It wants to have a career in speaking as well. And I think it's so interesting because my career is in speaking, yet I do not have a Mercury in Capricorn. And I find it really interesting because there are ways to have a career that is involved with speaking without having this, right? And that's why it's important to look at the entirety of the chart to see what else is going on. But there can be this predisposition to a career or a seriousness about writing, speaking, organizing your thoughts, advocating for people. There's part of that as well with Mercury in Capricorn. There's a sense of speaking like a boss or going to study something very, very diligently and for a long time. Mercury in Capricorn can be those people, and Mercury-Saturn aspects can be those people that study for years and years and years to get PhDs. That's the hardworking mind. Their mind wants to really lay the foundation and then build upon that foundation and then build upon that. And Mercury becomes very powerful as they age. Their mind becomes very, 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 very strong. Their ability to remember things is very, very strong because Mercury wants to build that staying power within your mind, within your opinions, within your thoughts, within what you're speaking about. There can be something here as well with a sense of understanding your routine and making sure that you give yourself downtime, like mental downtime, and get your thoughts out and find a responsible and respectful outlet for your own mind, your own thoughts, your own words. Journaling, I think, is really important for anyone with Mercury Saturn. Finding a word or words to express what you're going through is really great because Mercury really urges us to speak and to understand. And I think the thing with Mercury, I think the reason why Mercury in Capricorn is as hard as it is, and I say hard as in like rigid hard, it is difficult, but I think part of that is because it has that support from Mercury in Virgo, but not necessarily from Mercury in Gemini, where Mercury in Virgo is very critical, very strong. And so when you put Mercury in Capricorn, it's like, okay, I have that support from Virgo that is giving me that strength, that is giving me that analytical ability, right? But in Capricorn, it doesn't know necessarily how to filter out its own opinions from someone else's or to really understand that hierarchical kind of thinking. Because the thing is with Mercury Capricorn, a lot of the time, what will happen with Mercury Capricorn is they will think that what someone is telling them, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a boss, whether it's their parent, that they know the truth. And that's something that we inherently, as we grow and as we learn, when we're young, a lot of the time, when we're naive or when we're developing, we look to our parents for the answers, right? We look to our, the authority, our bosses, right? Whatever. And what's interesting about Mercury and Capricorn, the image that's coming to mind is, and interestingly, the Mercury Sag to Mercury Capricorn kind of pipeline feels very much like when you're young and you believe in Santa, and then going from believing in Santa to then realizing that it's just your parents buying you gifts all the time, right? Or whoever is buying you gifts. And if you don't know Santa exists, I'm sorry, or Santa, all of that stuff. Like, I'm sorry if I just like gave you that as Mercury Capricorn. I'm sorry if I just burst your bubble. But point is it feels very much like that. Like there's this really strong belief with Mercury and Sag, like really beautiful belief, and then Mercury comes into Capricorn, and it's like, all right, so this is actually what it is, right? You got to treat it like this, right? And so I think there's a lot of patience required for those that have Mercury in Capricorn. And even like I said, thinking about Mercury in Capricorn, there's a lot of very slow, steady mind that I really appreciate. Even simply being forced through the circumstances on my side of things right now that are forcing me to slow down, speak more intentionally, think more consciously about how I'm approaching things. And it's funny because I have a career in speaking, so you would think I would already do that and slow down. But I have not taken the chance to do those things because of how active and energetically, like, up there my own life is. But that's besides the point. Mercury and Capricorn, you have a gift. You have a gift of patience. You have a gift of authority in your words. And as I said, Mercury and Capricorn will typically have some sort of career in writing, speaking, consulting, sales. They could be really great blog writers, right? Ultimately, their voice will become an authority after they learn to trust their own voice. Because when it comes to the Mercury Capricorn story, like I said, you typically grow up and you believe whatever authority that may be, whether it's your parent, whether it's your boss, whatever it is, you believe that authority to tell you what's right? To teach you what the truth is. But then the thing with Mercury Capricorn, I think what happens most of the time is they can't distinguish their voice from the internalized voice of authority from whomever that came from, right? The idea of right versus wrong, right? The idea of I can't say that, I can't speak on that because this person said I shouldn't, right? When you have a separate opinion, Mercury inherently, it merges, but it also knows how to separate and distinguish and compartmentalize. So the idea of compartmentalization is very much like a Mercury Capricorn thing, because you're able to put the boundaries around thoughts and around opinions and logic. Logic is so powerful for Mercury, and Mercury and Capricorn especially will really, really benefit from logical kind of conversations, debates, and those sorts of things where it's like lay out the facts for me, lay out the studies, lay out those things. Mercury and Capricorn will assist with that, and enjoy that, honestly, in a lot of ways. And so there is a really big lesson around being patient with your own mind and your own ability to understand, because Mercury and Capricorn, you're not stupid. You're not stupid by any means. You're actually very traditional, and you're very hard on yourself. And because you're hard on yourself, you're not allowing yourself to move forward to understand something else until you understand this one thing, which is how we are supposed to learn, right? But you take it a very, very, very slowly, which is how you should. But other people are talking in all this other place, and you're trying to figure out what your voice is, how you process things. And that's okay that you take things slowly. So be patient with yourself. And as you have Mercury in Capricorn. And obviously, of course, it's important to look to your Mercury aspects, your Mercury house placement, Saturn's placement as well for a better idea with that. Yeah, so this helped you guys. This has been a really interesting one. I didn't expect to have the vocal thing happen right now, right before I start recording Mercury and Capricorn of all things. Right? But yeah, I hope this helps you guys. And then if you have any questions with me, you want to hear more about how Mercury works in Capricorn or your chart specifically, feel free to put some comments down below or reach out to me as well. All my stuff's on there. And of course, if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things. And then of course, I will also talk about Mercury in the 10th house as well in the next portion. So if you have that, or if you are interested to hear more about me yapping in my not normal kind of energy, then feel free to wait for that too. So yeah, but I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next part for Mercury in the 10th house. Okay, so we have Mercury in the 10th house. So the 10th house is all things relative to career, all things relative to our place in the world, and kind of what we are seen for publicly. So when we have Mercury in the 10th house, we are seen for our mind, seen for our opinion, seen for our thoughts, seen for what we know, right? Mercury 10th house people want to be known, have a lot of information to share. They are the types of people that will be writers, published authors. They'll be speaking online. They'll be doing public speaking. Is just very much a Mercury 10th house kind of job. In addition to that, careers in writing, careers in travel, careers in anything that is sales. This is a really good sales-related job or sales-related indicator. someone who is meant to bring their mind to the public. Mercury also has a lot to do with like merchandise. Jewelry can be part of it. Anything that has to do with textiles and hands. There's careers relative to like working with one's nervous system. So hands, mechanical things, mental things, whether it's speaking, debating, writing, grant writing, typing, blogs, those sorts of things. There's a lot of writing involved with a career. Now, Mercury, I've done Mercury in almost every single sign. I've done Mercury in every single sign prior to this, outside of, obviously Aquarius and Pisces at this point. So, I would recommend, if you have Mercury in any of those signs, watch that video first, and then come back here, watch this, because this will help you kind of understand a little bit more. I'm going to go over very, very briefly what Mercury does in each one of these signs, and we'll kind of just get a little brief overview, because I'm not going to go too deep into them, because obviously, like vocal rest, which is a very Capricorn, Mercury 10th house theme in this video right now. And I think that when it comes to Mercury in the 10th, you'll see a lot of jobs that are all mental. They're all mental. They're all yappy, right? They're all just professional yappers. That's what I do. I don't have the placement, but that's what I do. And I think overall it's about their mind being seen on display, right? They're bringing their thoughts up there. And the thing is, too, if you have Mercury at the top of the chart, you also have your sun up there, too, somewhere within the 10th, 9th, 10th, or 11th anyway. So you're going to be a public person anyway if you have your Mercury up at the top of the chart, because the sun's also up there, right? Especially if the sun's the 10th, the sun's the 11th. There's a lot of like really powerful stuff up there that you're being asked to speak about and be seen. So there's a lot of publicity here. You could be a photographer too. This is interesting with this one, like someone who is just literally capturing information. Is very like mercurial. Like a journalist can be very Mercury 10th house as well. So anywho, so Mercury in different elements and different signs are going to work very differently on the top of the 10th house. Mercury in a fire sign, either Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius at the top of the chart. This is going to be a very active, inspiring. These are the motivational coaches, motivational like writers, right? The speakers that are telling you what needs to be done. The people that are on TikTok, on YouTube, and really just getting all the information out and really trying to stir up motivation, energy, fire in other people, right? Because it's a fire sign. Mercury and Aries, there's a lot more conflict involved with that, with their public opinion. Their mind is just kind of brought up there, right? And people can just fight that. There's like a fight of like, they want to be individual in their thoughts, and that's like its own Mercury or Aries lesson. But they are realizing that the more they go out there, they realize that they're just potentially causing more conflict in who they talk to, but because they want to be right, they want to be the first with the opinion, right? But like I said, this is probably one of the more motivating ones, Mercury and Aries. Like once you use it to motivate people, motivate yourself, share your opinion, share your voice, that one's really, really strong. Yeah, there's going to be kickback because Mercury's in Aries, but I think at the end of the day, it's pretty powerful in that regard. Then we have Mercury in Leo. This is a really bright one up there. And then your sun's either in Leo, Cancer, or Virgo. So there is a lot of stuff up there at the top of the chart that I really like. So there is some pretty powerful things there if you have Mercury at the top of the chart in Leo, because it's just going to be nice. It's going to be a really focused on you, creative. There's something about, like this is really niche, but like selling like instruments, music, art, or like vocal coaches can be seen with this. Like someone who's a creative, like a singing coach, teaches music. That's Mercury, Leo in the 10th, like very much that. Like it seems like someone who would teach you how to sing or teach you how to perform. Talent agent as well, as you'll see with Leo in the 10th. That's kind of like a talent agency type of person. Someone who's really good with social media management could be Mercury, Leo, as well as Mercury in Aquarius. Mercury in the air signs kind of do more social media management, that sort of stuff. You'll see that a lot because Mercury's in an air sign where it's like conveying information. But Mercury and Leo, this is where I think you're motivating people. There's a lot of coaching in this one. Yeah, there's a lot of coaching careers with this. Mercury and Leo and Aries and even Sag. Mercury and Sag at the top can still have that too, where they're coaching and teaching philosophies and preaching stuff. And these are the ones that are like the professors, really, like literally the careers as professors or careers as, philosophers teaching things, priests, right? You can see that with Mercury and Sag as well as Mercury and Pisces. There's like a priest energy to this. Priest would be kind of more Mercury, Pisces, and Mercury, Sag, but this is weirdly like horse betting, or like this actually would be really niche for Mercury and Sag in the 10th, but it would be like those auctioneers. That's like a very Mercury 10th house. And it's that would be like almost perfectly suit Mercury Sag in the 10th. Is like that, like really strong, like rapid speech. Now, what's interesting is I've obviously experienced a lot of different types of speaking career things. Like I've explored a lot of different things. And one of the ones I think is really interesting is when you get Mercury in water, right? In Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. One of the things that came to mind with Mercury in Scorpio specifically. And this will be something I will likely be doing, even though I don't have Mercury in Scorpio. I just have a lot of Scorpio, is doing dispatcher, right? Meaning 911 calls, taking, those kind of crisis calls. That's very Mercury Scorpio in the 10th. Having a career where you are, helping people through crisis, through your words. That's very Mercury Scorpio in the 10th. Mercury in Cancer can also have that. All the Mercury water signs have this emotional component to what they are speaking about. Mercury in air and fire and earth can also have that, but Mercury in water has more of it wants a career that has emotion imbued with it. And it's more on the sensitive side. So this is where you'll see the counselors, right? Where we see like the coaches are more of Mercury in fire. Mercury in water is more of the actual, like, the sensitives, the healers, the therapists, right? The consultants in that regard, not the consultants in the, like, this is what you need to do to get there. It can still be that, but this is what you need to feel. This is what you need to, like, it's not as practical. Like, that would be more like Mercury in an earth sign at the top of the chart, right? Mercury in a water sign at the top of the chart is going to be like, let me help you with your feelings. Let me help you feel through this. Let me intuit you through that. Let me read your cards. Let me, read your chart. Like, Mercury in water is very intuitive, very psychic, very connected to someone else's emotions. And it's about using your voice to bring that up to the world and help people as a career. So that's why I'm like dispatchers or nurses or speech therapists could be that's like a really big one. Like Mercury in Scorpio, top of the chart, Mercury in Pisces, top of the chart, could be speech therapists. It's like really specific. Vocals therapists, like people that help people regain their voice. I think that's really cool. Like Mercury at the top of the chart is pretty cool. I don't have it. Like I said, I wish I did. I really wish I did sometimes because it would make more sense. But I really like it. I think it's a really fun placement with that. Mercury in water is pretty sensitive. So there is a sense of like, yeah, Mercury Scorpio is very much like dispatcher. Mercury Cancer is more of like, that's more like quintessential therapist. And then Mercury Pisces is more of like the mystic, the psychic, the healer. Like that sort of way of approaching career and stuff and having a career in that regard. So it's really fun. I think that one's really, really fun in a lot of ways. And then Mercury and Earth, like I had said, there's a lot more practicality to this. There's a lot more groundedness to this. So these are all the financial advisors, right? These are the financial advisors, especially Mercury Taurus. So Mercury Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Mercury Taurus, the top of the chart, financial advisors, the ones that are helping with real estate, banking is very Mercury Taurus, top of the chart. Like that is probably, yeah, if Mercury's top of the chart and you're a Taurus, Mercury, go into banking. Go into financial management, asset management. Mercury and Scorpio can do that too, but for different reasons. They'd be more like debt people. They'd be more like dealing people. Yeah, they'd be more like, loan sharks and stuff like that. Mercury in Taurus, the top of the chart, this is like, they literally will make money through their words, but it's about financial analysis. So they could do really well with stocks as well. Mercury and Scorpio at the top of the chart. Mercury and Leo can also do that too at the top of the chart, but that'll be a little bit different. Because Mercury is said to not work well in Leo. So Mercury and Aquarius can also do well with stocks. And that actually does really well with stocks, which is why I think Mercury does really well in Aquarius, but that's beside the point. But I think that there's a sense with Mercury in Earth that there is a goal that they are trying to set financially. And this is where you'll see like a lot more like direct careers in writing or analysis. So Mercury in Virgo, top of chart, librarian, or, people that are like the one, like Mercury in Virgo at the top of the chart, it always gives me like a scribe energy, like someone who is writing medical notes or writing notes, or even like a Mercury at the top of the chart can also be like writing in a court, right? That would be more like Mercury Capricorn or Mercury in Libra top of the chart, like a court reporter, right? That would be like very interesting. Court reporter, Mercury Capricorn. Actually, I think someone someone I know who is a Capricorn. I'm pretty sure she has Mercury Capricorn. I would not be surprised if she's Mercury Capricorn at the top of the chart, because she is a writer and she wrote for like courts, and that's what she does. Like he works in law, but like not in law fully, but just like the writing and understanding the jargon, right? So that's interesting with Mercury in that specific sign. Mercury and Virgo, medical stuff, analytical stuff, coaching. This is a good one. I like this one a lot. This one is like the consultant, and like across the board, business consultant, sales consultant. If they have Mercury and Virgo top of the chart, get them into sales for sure. And then finally, Mercury and Air. This one, I think is pretty nice, because Mercury does well in air. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, it kind of does well in all the air signs, because Mercury rules Gemini, and then it does really well in Aquarius. So it has this quality of just sharing stuff, like gossip. This is where you'll see like the actual journalists, like Mercury Gemini, Mercury Aquarius. These are the social media like experts, right? These are the ones that are really learning about social media, that know how to work the trends and things, and really work with things. Mercury and Gemini is more of the quintessential like actual like salesman. Very much that. Also, like I said, Mercury and Virgo has that too. Like a really strong Mercury at the top of the chart is very salesy, cars, things like that. Mailman. Yeah, just conveying information, right? Mercury rules mail as well. So Mercury at the top of the chart, you could have a career in mailing or in shipping or in handling of like those sorts of things, logistical things. And then Mercury and Libra, this is like, once again, like court stuff here, relational stuff. This is marriage, family, therapists. A lot of that can happen with Mercury at the top of the chart, where your voice is, or you could, and the thing is, this is true for all Mercury in the 10th house too. Write a book, put your opinion into the world and make it a career, make it lucrative, right? Especially like if it's Mercury, like an earth sign, it's like really wanting to make money from that. But Mercury and air, the thing with Mercury and air, I think, is that it might struggle is it gets too caught up in everyone else's opinions, everyone else's thoughts, everyone else's perspectives, and isn't quite clear on its own, because it's so wanting to appease the other person or the other audiences, except Mercury and Gemini. Mercury and Gemini, I think, can still struggle with that, because it still understands everyone's opinion is valid. So it might just talk the talk and not necessarily to really find the audience, find the person to listen to, right? Mercury and Libra, Mercury and Aquarius, Mercury and Air, it's all about like finding the right people to talk to, finding the right audiences to talk to, especially Mercury and Aquarius. There's a lot about audience and the trends, and knowing that they're out there, and finding the right to curate that message to an audience, right? This is where you'll see protests. Like a lot of people the people that are publicly protesting, and I mean like the ones that are on the megaphone publicly protesting, that's a Mercury Aquarius in the 10th house. That's Mercury Aquarius in general, but in the 10th house, that's them. The ones that become the voice for like a movement, and the ones that are running a group, very much them. They're the group organizers, the event. They're very much that, which I really like. And then Mercury in Libra, like I said, there's a lot of energy there where it's like this consultancy, one-on-one therapist, but not in the same way as it's like the watery one. But you could have that, because you could also have your Sun in Scorpio, so there could be a lot of support there if you had that with Sun in Scorpio, with Mercury and Libra at the 10th. There's a lot of support that you could have with you being a therapist for people in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of just like relational stuff too, and I think a lot about Mercury and Air with Libra and Aquarius, they need to find the right person to talk those things out with them. So it's all about exploring and finding the right audience, the right people, the right sounding boards. That's what I think are really important for Mercury and Air as well. But overall, in general, Mercury in the 10th is a lot about the career. It's a lot about you having a career in speaking, a career in being heard, writing a book, putting your opinion, your story, because there's something to be said about your story, putting it on display, right? Putting it out there. Utilizing it, utilizing your words, utilizing your thoughts, utilizing your opinion, utilizing your writing ability, your speaking ability, your deductive ability, your logical reasoning. It has value, 110%, and it's meant to be seen. And you have significant, different sort of lessons relative to your specific Mercury. So obviously look to your Mercury's ruler, whether it's, Mercury, if it's Mercury and Venus is a sign, look to Venus. Mars, look to Mars, stuff like that. And then also look to the rest of the chart, what else is going on. Because there's so many different layers to this, and this is just one of the many layers in regards to astrology. So I hope this helped you. This has been quite an interesting one for me. I didn't quite expect to be vocally fried out by the time I got to Mercury in Capricorn, which is so ironic. And I think I said that so many times in this, but it's just really ironic to me. And I really hope that this has helped someone. I love doing this. Obviously, love talking. This is what I do all day. And clearly, my voice is indicating that. But I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for being here. I hope this helped anybody. And if you guys are interested in anything with me, and of course, if you need to watch any of these other videos, there's the playlist down below as well. But then, of course, if you want to reach out to me, please reach out down below. I have my links down there. And then also, please comment down below as well. I'd love to hear if you have your Mercury in the 10th house, what that story has been like for you, what your voice has been like, what your reclamation or what your publicity of your voice has been like, and what you do for work that is inherently like conversational, helping people find their voice, speaking up, journalism, writing, those sorts of things. I'd love to hear about those stories for all of you. So I appreciate you. I love you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.